strangest thing. It's shorter than you think. No think. Longing is the music of our sphere. The gift of life is never more or less. It starts at any time you like and ends in just a wink. Pass me the lighter, baby.
Pomarie whakalorofalahiatu. My name is Elliot Ikilei. Welcome. This is my little Talanoa Tuesday. This is one where I have a bit of a chat every week, and we'll be chatting about some of the issues that are going on and happening out there in the way. Thank you so much for joining me. Also, I'm speaking at the moment on X, on YouTube, Facebook, and I've also got the crew from TikTok over here as well. Now, as for those of you who've seen me do these sorts of things before, I love to have a good talanoa. That's a korero or a chat. And the idea is to bring out things on the table that others just are afraid to talk about. I love it if people disagree with me. I love it if people agree with me and to ask any questions. So if you'd like to, please feel free to chuck stuff into the comment section. I will try to, as we're chatting on TikTok as well, bring up any discussions held there. As we go through the next, 6, 7, oh, hey, sorry. As we go through the next 6, 7 months, as we approach the election, this is going to become more and more important. I also got the crew who are wanting to do another version of what we call the faith vote, where we look at moral issues and we do debates with the candidates to see where they stand on different points. What is a woman? Equal rights for citizens, what does that look like, and everything in between. So thank you for joining me. We'll have chats and all that good stuff. Next week I've been asked to bring on a couple of guests, so we will be having a couple of guest speakers to discuss things as well. All right, no problem. So Just again, if you throw it in the chat there, I should be able to look this up. All right. So first things first, hope that you guys had a wonderful Easter show. I hope that you had a good feed and all that good stuff. I'm going to be a little bit controversial here. I remember very keenly when the National Party, when Mr. Luxon, he got out there and he and Mark Mitchell had this real reverential, I think it was like 5 or 6 minutes, where they were deeply speaking about Ramadan for the Muslim faith. And they were very respectful, very deep. And they were speaking about the Islamic traditions and how the Muslims had put into the excellent style of culture within New Zealand. No problem. And there you can also see that that's one of the things that they had the Ramadan Mubarak element as well. That's from the National Party. So you had Mark Mitchell and Christopher Luxon doing a full-on video, and they were very professional, very reverential. And then you had the very reverential meme popped up from the National Party as well. Okay, cool. They also did that on the first day of Ramadan, or celebrating the first day, and also the end. Now, I found that really fascinating because whenever the National Party sort of bring up things about Easter, the National Party, when it looks at Easter, which is, again, the most important part of the year for Christians, and also is the only faith element that you can find within public holidays in the New Zealand environment, Christmas and Easter, that the National Party does eggs. If they do anything at all, and it's on generally Easter Monday, then they will just chuck up a couple of Easter eggs, maybe some bunnies. This is what I've looked at over the last while. The discussion that Mr. Luxon had on his couple of his accounts was a very hastily drawn up text message that was just popped up there. Now, I'm a bit sick and tired of Mr. Luxon's usage of Christianity. And I say that because I believe he says he's a Christian. I believe him. That's nothing. I cannot judge that part at all. It's outside of the purview of the Christian. The Christian cannot judge the relationship between one person and their God. It cannot be done. However, that said, we can indeed start to engage in discussions around actions, activities, behavior. That's one of the big ones that you can have. And as far as I'm concerned, Mr. Luxon doesn't seem to show much of a backbone when it comes to his Christianity. When he went to India, he was bowing down. He literally bowed down to the gods that he was being introduced to. He also was very strong about anything Muslim. He will just bow down to. And I have a problem with it. I do. If you're a Christian, mate, just at least stand up for something. You know, at this point, I'm nearly wondering if they need to stand up for anything at all. And I sometimes wonder that the two Chris's, this is a bit of a segue here. I wonder what it would be like if both Chris's were not voted as Prime Minister. Is this a year where we might see a non-Labour, non-National Party leader become the Prime Minister? Now, I think we know all who I'm sort of talking about that. I'm talking about, of course, the Prime Minister. And here's the latest poll figures on preferred Prime Minister. You see the usual, because in general, New Zealanders will pretty much, whatever colour party they go for, they therefore tend to vote the Prime Minister. Now, that's interesting because Mr. Luxon does seem to be failing a bit in that area. If you have a look at that poll there, at the moment, Chris Hipkins is the top one. And it's interesting that Mr. Peters, here in that purple line you can see, he's been trending upwards quite a bit. And it really seems as if he can do no wrong, I would say. But what if that happened? What if we had a party who beat out the National Party and the Labour Party, that they became the Trump force, if you will? If they became, in a way, also the strength that we're seeing with the one party in Australia. What if we did? What if we had New Zealand First become so strong and replace National as the social conservative party of New Zealand that Winston Peters became Prime Minister? I'm not opposed to it. I'll be honest at this stage. I'm actually not opposed to it. When we think about the 2017 election, I was wild, but unsurprised that Mr. Peters went with Miss Ardern because it made sense politically speaking. If you wanted to get down to the cold harshness of politics, it sort of made sense. But it's changed now, and the parts that that New Zealand First had, which also was one of the reasons why I fought against them, they've really turned it around again, and I've run out of reasons. I've got to support them because they're standing up for the values that I believe in: equality, the family unit, the nuclear family, the idea of patriotism, and social conservative values such as equality. I've run out of problems. So I don't know. Nigel, yes, absolutely. Bring it on, Elliot. An upset would be healthy for our democracy. Straight up. I think that such an upset really would be such a great thing for our democracy. I mean, look, I don't like making these sorts of analogies, but you think about rugby and the All Blacks and the All Blacks stranglehold. I think it was a good thing that they lost their stranglehold on rugby. Rugby started to become a bit boring, but to see a fresh new face get in there, shook it up. People got better out of it. And might I just say, I think that could be a good thing if New Zealand First were able to become the strongest party in New Zealand. That they would actually improve the other parties, because the other parties wouldn't be able to just go, oh, well, Labour Party, we've got the brown people, they do what we tell them to do, so they'll just vote for us anyway. The National Party, we took on the traditional conservatives as well as the libertarians, and now, of course, the liberals. I think it could really make improvements to our political situation. So I think it's quite fascinating. Stephen here. Whoa. How can Trump fly like an eagle when most of his critics are the UN, WEF, EU, WHO, NATO, dead in the water? Trump will achieve what he has set out to do. He and his team will implement his NWO on his terms, not the likes of Helen Clark and her sidekick Jacinda and their globalist puppeteers. USA will be self-sufficient and supply other countries with the liquid gold and other resources needed for their survival. If Trump verbalizes or announces intention, then you can can't see the rest, but that's okay. Thank you, Stephen. A very strong opinion that you have there. I think the UN is quite a fascinating place, and the reason why is because the United Nations is a taxpayer-funded organization. It is the largest organization on Earth, I believe, but it most definitely is the largest taxpayer-funded organization on Earth. No other organization is as large as this taxpayer funds. And I find it fascinating. I don't know why we seem to tiptoe, be in fear of, and why New Zealand, as one of the nations who is swapping out the Judeo-Christian democratic principles of the previous civilization, why they seem to be trying to swap it over for the United Nations agenda items. It's quite extraordinary to me because the UN doesn't have an objective morality to tether its own policies to it. It's effectively a big voting bloc. And because of that big voting bloc, this is why Israel are basically treated like war criminals. You've got the idea of 4-year-old children now being encouraged to be in masturbation-style classes, the LGBTQIP plus push, the pro-abortion being shoved upon Africa. Some of the most scariest left-wing policies that have been brought out are being pushed through the United Nations. So I'm not... Yeah, they're very strong. I'm just not sure why we sort of put up with it as a people group. It doesn't make sense to me. So there you have it. So that poll, fascinating, that poll. This is the Curia. So it was just brought out today, I believe. This is the Curia poll as well. And it's fascinating. I want to show you this as well. Have a look at these headlines from media. This is from One News. Support has risen for all coalition parties, while support has dropped for opposition parties. But the headline is, reprieve for Luxon, National still under 30% in Taxpayer Union's poll. Okie dokie. Let's go to the New Zealand Herald. This one here, it says, National fails to clear 30% in latest poll results as New Zealand first surges. Okie dokie. This got repeated over many different media news articles that they constantly pushed at 30%. But they are, please excuse my rough language, but they're full of crap. They're full of crap. Have a look right there. If the vote was taken, the coalition would win quite strongly too because of the New Zealand first push. So if you have a look there, it's very clear that they'll win. And it's just lucky that you've got the racist party known as Te Pāti Māori, because they think that they own Māori in terms of votes, even though that the vast majority of Māori did not vote for them. Quite a fascinating one there as well. So I find this really extraordinary that that the media are saying one thing again. I think at this stage, if you're still believing the media, I'm not sure. I feel a bit melancholic. I feel a bit sad for you because everyone's moved on. Everyone knows that the New Zealand mainstream media is not to be trusted. Everyone knows that they've been called out multiple times doing misinformation, arguably disinformation. It's a very common awareness now as well. So, Lee, I felt like that in 2017 too, Elliot. As you know, I got over it eventually and later realized why New Zealand first went with Labour. More Kiwis are realizing that there are not just two horses in the race. I'd love New Zealand first to become a major party. Only one way that is going to happen. People are going to have to vote for substantial change. The Blurple, the Blurple party options are very unappealing. Nats have left their voter base. Labour is extreme. Greens and TPM are crazy. New Zealand first are looking good, I think you might have said. Lee, I totally agree with you. And I do. Now, looking back, I see why New Zealand first went with Labour. Still don't, I'll be honest, don't like it. And so I just want to sort of move on. But what I'm extraordinarily grateful for is that they've managed to fix some of those internal issues they were having, like every single political party does have. And so they're back on form. They are patriotic. They are conservative. They do not mind speaking about Christian faith at all. And I think it's a powerful, powerful thing. I really do. I really do. What have we got here? We've got Pākehā Council. The UN provides space for think tank groups to recommend policies for everyone except whites. We don't matter, apparently. We're all goods and privilege, which is fake news. We have no communal land or cultural spaces left. We have no voice, no representation for our native races, Pākehā. Where's our name and lights? Where's our branding and merch? Where's our funding for colonial shows? Feeling left out and ignored. It's we've got to get back to what we used to have, and it wasn't that long ago when we did view each other as equals, and basically, if you're a good guy, you're a good guy. If you're a bad guy, you're a bad guy. Your actions dictated how we viewed people. And I think we need to get back to that. I think the racism it's just quite extraordinary. Now, in terms of that, I'm going to play this. I want you to have a bit of a look at this one as well. See what you think. We'll have a bit of a chat. This is from the Red Beta, who's a very strong personality on X. X, as you know, a lot of the government departments and the left-wing parties have fled it because you are allowed to speak freely there. So have a little look at this, and we'll continue this little chat about Christopher Luxon.
Activists.
Tēnā tātou katoa, good evening.
Kia ora, te huarere mo a popo.
And in Te Whanganui o Tātara, more of the same here, he rangi ka pua.
The TV1 newsroom is a prime example of this infiltration, and most of its productions are infused with Maori separatist propaganda in one form or other.
It's the whole board responsibility to recognise the evolving partnership under Te Tiriti.
It's no surprise then to see their new recruit Tova O'Brien pushing Maori issues on the breakfast program this morning. Prime Minister Luxon was caught completely off guard by a question somewhat disconnected from...
Just a real quick one. Have you noticed Tova O'Brien? Man, she seems to try to put herself out there as this, not neutral, but a fiery personality in the media, and they tried to celebrity-ize her. It didn't work very well because at this point the trust was already going down in media, and she always tries to seem as if she's a strong interviewer and she's got to get investigative journalist nearly. When, to be honest, as far as I can see, and just me, my own personal opinion, she seems to just go for the money. If the money tells her to be this way, she'll be that way. If the money tells her to bow down to this particular ideology, she will do that. Doesn't seem to be one where she's got integrity in what she does. That's me. It's my opinion. So she doesn't come after me or anything.
Topical events, and directed at the racial makeup of his cabinet.
How many Māori MPs are in your cabinet?
Well, we've got probably the most Māori MPs in our coalition government, I think, of any government.
In the National Party wedge of the National Party wedge of the cabinet, Prime Minister.
Well, we've got a number, but I mean the key thing here was really about reallocating portfolios with Judith Collins. Well, I'm not going to. I mean, I don't need to go do that, Tova. We're not going to play that game. What we're really focused on.
It's not a game. I'm just. How many Māori MPs do you have in the National Party portion of the cabinet? Is it just one?
We've James Meagher. Yep.
Is James Meagher in the cabinet now?
No, he's not in cabinet. He's one of our ministers. But I just say to you, Tova, the point of the cabinet reshuffle is to make sure that we've got those big portfolios reallocated. 2, we make sure that we've got a big focus on the energy and the fuel crisis. And 3, that we're bringing through talent. And we're bringing through 2 new members into cabinet and 2 new ministers outside of cabinet.
Is Tama Portaka not in cabinet?
He is in cabinet. Tama's there. Yep.
All right. So
he's doing a great job.
Okay. Did you just forget about him?
Sorry, I'm out of Tama. Tama. Yes, but Tama's doing a great job. But I just say to you, look, I get what you're trying to say, but the bigger point here is actually making sure we've got the right talent to be able to get on and get the job done. We've got great Māori representation in our cabinet across the parties, and most importantly, we've got to make sure we're focused on this fuel crisis and actually we're getting New Zealand through it the other side.
Former colleagues of O'Brien have described her as ambitious, and according.
Now, let me just have a quick chat on that one. Because Mr. Luxon has stuffed himself a little bit on this one, because in his PR articulations and his posts and even his policy, he tries to stay away from confronting issues about equality, democratic principles, the Treaty of Waitangi. He tries to really avoid discussing this sort of stuff. But it keeps coming up. And the issue that he faces, I think, is that he comes off looking a little bit hypocritical, because on the one hand he's there saying, "Oh, no, we ain't gonna have no treaty principles bill. We're gonna get rid of it." He'll try to track the woke element, saying that he's all for the brown people. That's just again what I'm sort of seeing and getting the vibe of. The problem is that he can be called out for not practicing what he appears to preach. And this, of course, shows him out to be potentially a bit of a hypocrite. And so I do not understand why he doesn't just be staunch and join New Zealand First in saying that we treat you by the content of the character, not by the color of your skin. Because let's not forget as well is that all of these co-governance structures, all of these attempts to replace democracy with some form of race-based democracy and within that democracy, and then a separate democracy for all the other Kiwis. It's not even Māori per se. Now, some parts are, but in the democratic principles, what they're doing is they are putting in particular iwi and particular hapu elitists into those mixes. Because the people who are being pushed into these hugely profitable, taxpayer-funded and ratepayer-funded profitable environments, they're not the kaumātua who sits on the steps of the marae and talks to everyone and wants everyone to be okay and have a good life. We're talking about ones who walk through airports. They're all going to the koru lounge. They're all got the Oxford tip shoes, and most of them all have executive assistants. And when we are not talking about the kaumātua, the matua who will sit on the marae every night for years on end, hoping and praying that people will be okay, better off in New Zealand. That's not what we're talking about. These people who are taking over are elitists. They are filthy rich. They're getting richer off our money, off our work, off our backs and shoulders. All right. I think that really needs to be discussed. It really does. Jolly, enjoy your chats with the hosts on the platform. The commentary from the left on the New Zealand First Members Bill will be equal parts hilarious and disturbing. Totally right. Totally agree with you. Then we've got Trevor Bryan. Trevor Bryan here, he is saying that New Zealand First and ACT hold 28 seats. If they join forces and ran a Trump-like campaign, waving flags and holding rallies, they will sweep the other parties aside. They have proved they can work together. And here, Trevor's also said, as an addendum, 28 seats in that latest poll. Great. A good point. Okay, here's where it gets a bit tiffy. And I think you're right, Trevor. I think that they can work together. They have shown it. They've proved it. That even within the differences they have, they can still move forward together. So very fair. And the overlap does tend to be that equal footing, that the idea that, hey, we're all equals here. Treat us like equals. Let's be equal as we move forward together as one nation. The differences. I think you're right. I think the differences could be okay. Why is that? Because ACT are very libertarian. They are all good with basically going for abortion, euthanasia. They believe in deep privatization, very much the free market, and perhaps a little bit more free market than I like. I think that there should be a little bit of intervention elements. I think the New Zealand First is a good policy, as in not the political party, but the policy of New Zealand First. The same way that Trump goes America First policies, and he'll actually interrupt a total free market element to make it easier for his people and harder for the outsiders to bring stuff in. All right. Yeah, I think you're right. I think perhaps if ACT and New Zealand First were striving to head forward hard, that would be fine. At least New Zealand First and the ACT Party, I think one good thing is that they're defined. We all know who they are. We all know what they stand for. We do. We know what they stand for. There's no sneakiness there. I think this is a weakness of the National Party, is we don't really know what they are. By them trying to be risk adverse and try to stay out of things that they want and trying to stay in there with maybe the economy, law and order, healthcare budgets only, they want to stay out of the things that make Kiwis and the things that are the pillars of families themselves. The idea of patriotism itself, as in how do we get to that stage? So we don't know. I would argue that we've got National is mostly not to the left, but very definitely liberalized. So anything goes to a degree, whatever. I mean, Erica Stanford, I think she's done a reasonably good job on the education. I think there's still some more things there, but reasonably good job on the education portfolio. But she did vote heavily for the most abusive abortion bill that we've ever had in this nation. I mean, in New Zealand, what did they block? You can kill a baby up until and including during delivery of birth. In fact, the one thing that bill that Jacinda brought in, and that was supported by national members and other members, what it did was it removed the definition of person, or it removed babies, unborn babies, from the definition of persons in New Zealand law. That's how shocking it was. That's what they were able to do. And of course, then Stanford voted as well against making it compulsory to give medical treatment to babies who were born alive after abortion attempts, as well as painkillers for babies if it was in those later abortions. It's extraordinary the level of brutality that New Zealand has. Only now are some other areas starting to have that brutality. We were the top for killing, for the most brutal style of kills before. Now it's, I think UK have joined us now. I think, is it United Kingdom? Probably Canada, one of them. I'm not sure. Quinton has come through. New Zealand First and ACT the Kiwi Dream Team. Talia seems to be heading that way. At least, in New Zealand, if you're a conservative, if you believe in families, if you believe in the protection of free speech and faith, it does appear that you've got New Zealand First or ACT to choose from. Again, I think the National Party's in crisis time. I think they are. I think they're in crisis mode because who are they? Who is National? What do they actually stand for? I think in them trying to be what they refer to as a broad church, they've ended up looking like tofu, you know. And the one thing about tofu is, man, you can have tofu with anything. You can have tofu with chili, gravy, or you can have it with egg as well. The problem with tofu, it's nothing. You don't eat anything. It's just there, you know. And I think that's really what I'm getting the vibe of with it. And people are feeling that as well. At the very least, people are loving what New Zealand First Act are doing, or they're hating it. But these guys are making a stand, and good on them. Good on them, I say. You know, that drives me on to the next one. Have a bit of a chat about, which is the bill that has just come out. That is what is a woman? Well, I'm calling it what is a woman bill. What is a woman bill? And that one is sort of defending, if you will. It's seeking to define the understanding of what a woman is and what a man is. Now, this is the bill here, right there. And it basically states that after Section 13, now this is when it's discussing these parts around the sex, gender, meaning of woman or female, 13a. In any legislation, regardless of gender identity, A, woman means an adult human biological female, and B, female means a human biological female. 13b, meaning of man or male. In any legislation, regardless of gender identity, A, man means an adult human biological male, and B, male means a human biological male. I'm failing to see the drama. Right? I cannot see where there is a problem with all of that. That seems very reasonable to me, which is a man is a man and a woman is a woman. Now, this is not the only person. I'm going to bring up this little one here. This came from Michael Field. Michael Field is a old school journo from the mainstream media parts. My understanding is he's a current contributor to RNZ, the state broadcaster, fully taxpayer funded mainstream media outlet, and the spin-off as well. I think he's quite strong in this one. So this is from a journalist, an experienced journalist. Aotearoa New Zealand Paradise, this 80-year-old man, Winston Peters' handle, has a bill in Parliament that gives him the authority to define what a woman is. And just for you on TikTok, effectively it's a shot of an X posting with Winston Peters, and the person in there has tried to make it the most oldest looking face of Winston Peters. I don't know if he's put it through a filter or anything like that, but he's definitely put it in that regard. Now remember, Michael Field, old school journo, New Zealand mainstream media guy, current contributor to Spin-Off, of course, and RNZ, both which we would regard non-controversially as either to the left or very strongly to the left. And that's why, you know. So, and have a look at this here. The first thing he says is, Aotearoa New Zealand Paradise, ? This 80-year-old man. So he immediately engages in age. I don't know why he's got to bring age up, but he brings age up. He's got a bill in Parliament that gives him the authority to define what a woman is. What a nasty little angle that Michael Field has engaged in. Gives him the authority to define what a woman is. Now, I'm sure that Michael Field is hoping that, well, I think that he's probably hoping that people don't go and look at the actual bill and gear. But it does. We've got it right here. Meaning of woman or female. Woman means an adult human biological female. Female means a human biological female. I don't know. I don't, Michael, I don't see the controversy. I think maybe that issue is yours. And I don't know why the issue is yours, Michael, but hey, maybe you should learn what a woman is. This is biology 101. This is when you're in university, that biology starts with the 1, and even then it's just a given. All right. I mean, this is what's taught to little boys and girls, even at primary school age. And for people who've been in positions of authority to start wanting to change it, So what St. Peters is doing, and what New Zealand First is doing, is seeking to defend a basic human understanding, a biological reality of it. That's all it's doing, and it's a shame that has to be done at all. It should never have been done, but whatever you have. I just find it extraordinary that someone is having a bit of an issue over that. I really do. Anyway, that's that one. That one's a pretty straightforward one. I'll be really looking forward to the submissions. I think it's important that we all make submissions into this. Can I just say something about submissions as well? It's important that you also, along me and you, that we engage in the democratic system, such as giving submissions. It is a one time that Kiwis, as New Zealanders, we have the ability to have the politicians hear us. Because when a bill's put forward, goes through the first reading, then it goes sent to select committee, and that's that part where we have. I absolutely recognise that heaps of people are like, wow, select committees suck because they just don't listen to us and all that sort of stuff. You are right to a degree that they do engage in that. And we saw Jacinda Ardern, for example, she cut select committees so deeply, so grievously. If you remember the gun confiscations, when the Australian scumbag did what he did, basically Jacinda Ardern did the barest minimum of a select committee, didn't allow for anyone to be able to have a discussion or a say. And this was a vital piece of legislation for New Zealand. Did it make people safer? No. Were more people killed out of it? Yes. Did it increase gun crime? Yes. Illegal gun crime at that. In fact, we had exponential gun crime as well after she started her gun confiscation laws and policies and bills. It was quite extraordinary. So, select committee, she ripped that to pieces. It was also the abortion. She sliced and diced that as much as she could so that New Zealanders didn't get much of a say. Can I just say it is still a vitally important one as well. I know what you're saying, but we've got to make sure that we're turning up for all of these things. Submissions really do help. They do. And if nothing more, then it helps to morally strengthen and empower those politicians who are on our side, who do believe in equality, in the right of justice and order, of looking after families and nationwide, and the faith that built it. Right. So I think these are very important parts to play in that. So select committees, whether it's going to come out for the bill around the woman, defending woman one, I think that'd be great. This one here, this one here I wanted to have a look at as well. This is quite extraordinary. I love being part of this team. I really do. So this, of course, comes from our crew, our HP crew. And there you see Māori Strategic Advisor, Australasian College for Emergency Medicine, Wellington Central, Wellington Hybrid. $220,000 to $230,000 plus superannuation on top of that. All right. And what's the job? It's two things. It's to advise on how emergency care is governed. So it's a comms job. Okay. So games, email campaigns, posters, getting on Canva and what have you. And on top of that, it's actually for one race. One race. Not for Cambodians or the Tongan Samoans or the Niue or the people who are English or the Kiwis or the mixed Kiwis. Not for that. It's for the Māori. And I find that shocking because remember, that's going to have quite a lot of, and I believe that is a government-funded sector as well. It's quite extraordinary to see how it is. So Māori Strategic Advisor, $230,000 per annum for that, and that's to speak to one race only. I find that extraordinary. I mean, this is racism that we haven't been able to see too much anywhere, really. I want to bring up something else as well, which is don't have it there. I'm going to still bring it up. I want to bring up something because this is something that has come out. Where is it? I've got this one here. that person here. This is connected to the debacle, the expose that we've had on the Otago Council. So over in the Otago Council at the moment, they've got this committee who will deal with projects and resource management, and if someone wants to do some infrastructure work or how they want to utilize the wastewater care and water care systems and all that sort of stuff. All right, they're going to make calls on that. Now, it's supposed to be those who represent our region go in there and discuss it and work it through. Why? Because they are accountable to us, those of us who fund them, who pay them, those of us who chose to have these people in these areas. We trust them to do our bidding, to represent us. That's the idea of it. But now you've got a system where these are having what you call mana whenua. Again, these are one small group of sub-iwis who are they're choosing their own way of how to put someone in place. They will be given unelected voting rights. Again, this is spitting. This is contemptuous of democracy, because they're not our representatives. They're not. They're representatives of one small hapu within a region. So the other hapus get nothing. The other iwi get nothing. And all the normal people, I'm not sure, the non-special iwi one, they get nothing. Right? They just have to put up with it. And I find that shocking. We've been able to expose, as part of the HP crew, we've been able to expose that there is a push to allow for some type of, what do they call it? I think they're calling it significant cultural impact or something like that. A term that means if you've got a person who's going to do some infrastructure work on their property, they've got to go to this application board to ask for permission to do it. And within that, one of the unelected representatives can say, hey, you know what? Ooh, I'm feeling like you've hurt the wairua of my hapu, my particular hapu, not the other hapu, but it's my hapu. However, if you want to fix it up, if you want to make it north, if you want to come out of that area, then just give us, I don't know, 7K, 10K, and then suddenly it'll be all good. It'll be all good after that. Well, you're basically asking for, in my opinion, it's corruption. It really is. If it's corruption as far as I see it. It's nepotism at best. It's money for mana, if you will, which I think is disgusting from a Māori point of view. Because they're basically just selling it so that they can lord their way over the projects that are being engaged with. Just shocking. Anyway, within that, we also got called out in this person here, David Bainbridge Zafar. He is, I believe, the general manager, I think, of the local council there. He said, don't listen to Hobbs' Pledge, man. They full of misinformation. It's like, well, correct us, yo. Correct us. And so far, they haven't been able to correct anything because we're right. Now, this is, of course, that picture that you see there is when I did a little bit of research into it, I found that, oh, hello, he's a top guy, and he's running for top as a candidate for Dunedin. Right? So that's what he did. He also said that he also strongly intimated that the councillors would not be able to say anything because some area of amendment, and we cannot speak legally on this sort of stuff. So it's had a real bit of a feel of it, We've got over here Joseph, the Donway. Hey, Elliot, I first discovered you when you were the co-leader for New Conservatives. Hope you are doing good, bro. Hey, doing well. Thank you, Joseph. Appreciate that, my man. But doing well, doing busy. Really loving my day job, actually. There'll be a few of you guys know what I do, but I love it. I'm heading up to Whangarei tomorrow. But I can't wait to get up there. And one of the great things about my day job is get to go to different places. I meet so many people, and especially I meet a lot of people who are on the sites. So we get to have scaffy jokes, Hey, just a little bit of a brownie joke there. If you Māori Pacifica, one of the rules is you have to have done scaffolding sometime in your past. all good, easy, team, easy. So I'm pretty excited about this year. I am. I think that I think that the possibility of New Zealand First breaking free of that glass ceiling and perhaps becoming the biggest party in the nation, if they keep on doing what they're doing, is a very real perspective. I mean, they've got some great ones. I think Alpha Ngaro, of course, was announced, and he was very powerful. You've got, well, I'm wondering who it is that New Zealand First are taking. They're taking a lot of the disaffected voters from the National Party, of course. That was expected, because as National Party become more and more liberal, very much whatever goes, we don't care, and these conservatives, ones who value equality and free speech and nuclear families, those ones seem to be coming out and moving towards New Zealand First, and you're getting a few from ACT as well. But I'm wondering also if Labour Party is also starting to see some people move over. The polls do not suggest that. The polls suggest that the Labour Party is still having a lot of support. And I'll be honest, I find that extraordinary. I really do. Joseph, again, have you traveled around the country? I've talked to my parents, and I'm voting for New Zealand First this election. Good on you, Joseph. Great to see that that you're engaging in it. That's awesome. Yes, I travel around the country. Loved it. So I'll be in Invercargill in a few weeks. And I've just come from Nelson, and I sort of dot all over the place, really. I enjoy it. I love enjoying talking to the people. The family are they're okay-ish at the moment. My dad is choosing whether National or New Zealand First, but my mum sticks to National. Yeah, I understand that. Traditional voting is very strong. As someone, I was raised Pacifica, and in Pacifica communities, if you're not Pacifica yourself, it probably seems a bit odd for you, but we are trained from birth to view the Labour Party as good, and I do mean good. G, capital G-O-O-D. There's no reason for it. There's no logic behind it either. And the Labour Party actually they abuse Pacifica people quite a lot in the past 2 or 3 elections. They've really abused Pacifica quite strongly. And I think that's something of import to note as well. So we'll see. I think this is going to be a really, really good election. I think it's going to be a fun one as well. And who else? Who knows who's going to come out? Yes, I do get those questions a lot as to if I'm going to be standing again. There's been some discussions around that. We'll just see how it goes. We'll see what happens. But one thing, it's important to always stand for equality, always stand for families, and I think our faith is very important as well. So I will put this out there. I think that if I get asked this one as well about Christianity, I think we need to have a good, strong talk about Christianity as well, which is, if you're a Christian, okay, most Christians are aware that you don't vote for things like the Greens because they're quite communist and such like that. Although a great guy was running for them, Fa'anana Efeso Collins. He was a great guy. But I've heard a few things about how he was treated in Labour. It's by the by. But as a Christian, I don't think you can really vote for the Labour Party. I really don't. And I'm aware of my own family who are Christians, many who are Christians, and many Christians who do vote for Labour. But if you were to abide by the source material of your faith, you would realize that you should not be voting for the Labour Party, because they're very anti-Christian. They are the party who erased Jesus from Parliament itself. They put forward the policies of great anti-Christian or antithetical policies. So I'm not sure why you get Christians to do that. And so I am trying to look for Christians who do vote for the Labour Party, because I want to have a debate. I want to have a bit of just a full-on chat and a head-to-head as to why should the Christian vote for the Labour Party? Please tell me why, and then let's have a good, strong discussion. Talanoa Sa'o, one where we can go back and forward about this. So I think it's really important to have this talk as well. So I think that's important. And at the moment, New Zealand First really do seem to be the only one who are consistent in changing law, putting forward changes to law, and saying the right words in terms of what we want to see. So yes, like Lee was saying before, I also fought against New Zealand First as well when in their what I would call their times of being woke. But this is politics. Politics, you will get changes. You will get changes. I believe that the New Zealand First Party are definitely the party to stand up for the values that we believe in, and I'll be really happy to have a debate with other people on this as well, because I think that's going to be great. Simon, there for decades, Christianity was detrimental to a candidate's prospects of getting elected, so tended to downplay it. That's fair, very fair, and it's very odd too. New Zealanders seem to be like that. Our tall poppy syndrome seems to even be pushed amongst just don't say anything about anything. It's quite crazy. The zeitgeist has changed, however. Christianity is an attractive aspect to their character, and in my opinion, is something candidates should highlight. Yeah, you're right. You're right, Simon. And I think that there's still a great deal of people who are scared of it. The National Party seems very scared of it, and Christopher Luxon seems scared of it. I have staunchly said that they will not roll Christopher Luxon. I've staunchly said that all the way through. But I think that they might be starting to get down to their crisis bones now. So I'll be interested to see how they act. But I don't know who they'd put in who could turn this around. I really don't. It is what it is. And with that, hey, thank you, team. I think there's been a great little chat. And thank you for some of you guys who've also sent me messages, like little DMs, about how you want to see some of this weekly go forward. I have heard it. I do read them. I apologize if I haven't responded back to every single one. But I think you're right. I think we need to engage in more debates. And I want to debate also on things such as equality of the races, our race relations in New Zealand. And I think these are things that we need to really engage in. So until we have a chat next time, God bless you, God bless New Zealand, and God bless our future. Have a good one, guys.